don't think
it's not funny.
It's not funny to me. You know what it is? It's a spectacle, mind you, but I don't think it's funny. It's not well written to me.
No, but
it's not well written. It's not funny.
Do you see? I guess last night I began to see the deeper side to the whole thing of what they're really saying.
That's why I say, okay, I don't think it's going to make it very long. I think it's going to be canceled eventually, but it's just not funny.
You don't do 4 seasons of Black Jesus.
No way. You do like 4 episodes.
You do like, right. Yeah. It's like a mini series.
Yeah. I think it's interesting and that's okay, but I don't think it's funny to me. The funniest part to me is Charlie Murphy.
Murphy
spraying that grill. That was hilarious because Charlie Murphy was mad as shit. That nigga was mad, and that's something that I find funny. Period.
What's the last thing that you thought was? Did you see Katt Williams? You know what? Hold up. Welcome.
Oh,
to the Pick and Roll podcast. This is Pick and Roll podcast number 9. You can follow us at at PAR Podcast. You can email us at pickandrollpodcast@gmail.com. Make sure you visit us at pickandrollpodcast.com. Was Katt Williams funny? Did you see that? You didn't see Katt Williams special?
No.
Oh wow.
No.
Katt Williams is a funny guy.
Yeah, I think he's funny.
I look at him and Kevin Hart, and I want to say that it's 2 different kinds of comedy to a degree, you know. And I think Katt Williams actually talked about that his is a little bit more psychological and stuff like that, but they're both very good physical comics.
Well, Katt Williams, I think Katt Williams views himself in the same vein of like a Dave Chappelle or maybe Chris Rock, but I don't think he's in that lane.
Shout outs to R.I.P. to Patrice O'Neal.
Oh man, one of the greats.
Yeah, for sure.
One of the greats.
So for today's show, we didn't intend on talking about comics. We were just kind of finishing up a conversation we were having. We want to talk about hip hop in 2014, and some discussions about how hip hop this year has probably been, it may be at an all-time low in terms of
it's been a bad year
releases. We're also going to do some NFL predictions, do some over and under with the NFL. We want to start today by talking about to a degree, the aftermath of the Mike Brown situation. We're about almost 2 weeks out from the actual incident. A lot of videos passing around and a lot of different discussion about the actual matter, about the behavior of the police, so on and so forth. And Quentin and I were talking about the fact that when we were preparing for today's show, we really didn't know what to talk about, because there's a part of, I guess there's a part of us that thinks that it's a little bit more difficult to focus on certain things because of what happened in Ferguson and what is happening in Ferguson.
The gravity of it all.
Yeah. So, we want to kind of sum that up a little bit. I think that this story is it's still beginning, and it's still going to, we still have to look forward to the grand jury indictments, possibly, or indictment of the officer in question. But I guess timing has been very important in this situation, whereas typically we're able to pick out some things earlier in the week, talk about them a little bit, kind of go back and forth, and then be able to put together a show for you guys. This week was a little bit more difficult because of everything that is going on. So tell me what you thought.
Last week too. I mean,
we did our whole show about that.
Right. It consumes, as I feel it should, the thought process, especially being young black men. It consumes your thought process even when you try to move along to topic matters that also affect or reflect things that go on in the black community, which is kind of ground zero for where we start most of our discussions, even though we live our lives and our work lives are around a lot of things that have to do with mainstream America. Most of our concerns start within the black community. And right now, it's very difficult to try to talk about something or to even get involved in a discussion about something that does not necessarily have to do with this serious matter, which affects directly the black community. I guess it would be a very easy show to do for us to just continue to recap news, for us to analyze, okay, should the prosecutor recuse himself? What will Ferguson do after the case? What will Black America do if the ruling, if the man is never arrested, if the man is found not guilty? What will Black America, how will Black America respond to those things? I think we could go on and on about those things, but being, I guess being students of the news cycle, being students of just information, we are kind of looking for the next topic of conversation. It's very difficult to move past that. That's not necessarily a bad thing.
No, it's not.
Yeah, what we're doing is just kind of expressing what I think a lot of people are feeling, just by judging what social networking has been doing, different websites have been doing. People are kind of, I think, pushing themselves to try to talk about things that are lighter, to try to talk about things that are kind of entertaining. And, people can say that's, good or bad. But I think it's a reality that a lot of people are facing. We don't want to leave Ferguson.
No, we don't.
Mentally. We don't want to leave Ferguson.
We shouldn't. But I think that what happens at this stage is that people's filters begin to address the situation. And people's opinions start to take on different modes as more and more details come out.
Absolutely.
And in my tweet deck or whatnot on my Chrome, I have Ferguson as one of my columns here.
Okay.
Yeah, shout out to TweetDeck. That's kind of sweet. But you can, I have a column that follows my actual, my feed, but then I have Ferguson as a feed.
Right.
I mean, and it's constantly moving.
It's still going nuts.
It's still absolutely going nuts. But if you stop it and you look at it, you see some of the ugliness in America.
Yeah.
Based on people putting very ridiculous things with the hashtag Ferguson.
Yeah.
And it makes me disenchanted a bit about the ongoing conversation, because I know as a black man, and in terms of what I do for a living, I see it one way.
Okay.
But to realize that there are people who are so jaded and cannot get themselves above either the politics or just really the politics of the situation, and getting above what they have been taught.
Yeah.
To have some real honest conversation about what happened and what is happening. That's very scary to me.
I mean, I was chastised, rightly so. It was just a question. It was squashed. We did a podcast that discussed street harassment, and I used the hashtag #UOKSIS to just kind of say, hey, we offer some opinions on this too. And I was asked a question like, hey, are you actually using that hashtag to self-promote? Like, these kinds of questions. And that wasn't what I was trying to do. I was just trying to say, hey, we are in on the conversation. I felt the same thing about the last show that we did. We talked about the situation in Ferguson. I felt uneasy about using that hashtag and attaching the Pick and Roll podcast to that, because I believe it's such a sensitive issue.
Right.
But to see, like you said, the other side, to where people are literally poking fun at the situation, enjoying the unrest, enjoying the sadness that many are feeling behind that. And then to find out today, I read something that they have a GoFundMe and they're raising money for Officer Wilson, that the money that they raised is just reaching, these huge levels.
Yeah.
And to see the ugliness behind that part of this discussion, it's sobering, definitely. It makes me angry. I know it's making a lot of other people angry, but it also speaks to the larger reality, is that, how difficult it is to have long-lasting, strong, and substantial discussions about topics like this. I mean, okay, look at that. Look at the picture you just pulled up. Get a brain Morans. That's an old picture, though. That's not legit. That's not current. I've seen that picture before.
Right. I guess.
Get a brain Morans. Yeah, right. And you know, it's stuff like this that come to the light when we go through things like this in this country. That, you know, a lot of times, I mean, we're looking for an outlet, something to laugh at, something to smile at, something to, you know, get excited about, just to kind of take the edge off. But then, sometimes I feel guilty. You know.
Do you feel guilty? And that's the thing. Do I feel guilty by using this forum that we have as therapy to be able to move towards some of the other things that are going on in my life? Do I feel guilty about not using this to expressly or to continue to discuss the matter that's going on in Ferguson? I to a degree I do, because I've fought a lot with this week about whether or not this is what I want to talk about. Yeah. And, you know, truth, you know, our core at this point is very small, you know, but at the same time will show that people will expect certain things from us just because this is we're offering a service.
Absolutely.
You know, but at the end of the day, I'm having a hard time continuing the conversation when it's so convoluted at this point.
It's convoluted.
And it's not focused on solutions, and it's not focused on moving things forward. And I do think that it's a valid discussion, and because there's been an exposure. I mean, this situation has exposed a lot of things. If you work with different kinds of people, how comfortable are you discussing this matter with them?
I don't discuss it at all at work.
I haven't either. And
I've done that intentionally because I'm not prepared to handle that discussion responsibly.
And most people are not.
Yeah, I'm not prepared.
We're not prepared to deal with it honestly.
Right. I'm not prepared. Well, I can deal with it honestly, but I cannot deal with it responsibly. I can't be professional. I can't be non-emotional, and I cannot have that discussion without being abrasive because I see it one way. And this is a situation. I'm open about it now. I'm open about it. I'm not debating this. This is the way I see it. These are the facts that I'm standing on, and I'm not in a position right now to where I'm considering other trains of thought. I'm not at that point yet.
It's just, for me, there's so many tiers of mess involved in this situation, from, again, the incident itself, the response by the police, the interaction between the media and the incident, what the support looked like from leadership. There's so many tiers that cause me a level of discomfort.
Yes. Yeah. I will tell you one place that I am willing to attack, and I use that term.
Okay.
What I am finding a lot, especially on social networking, is people confusing the discussion. So this is what I have a problem with, and I'm just going to go off on this for a second.
Please.
All right. What we hear a lot of, and this happens a lot of times when the national discussion breaches itself about crime in America. Okay. And here's a situation where what we have is a white police officer that has killed a young black man, an unarmed young black man. So what happens is we have a specific group of white folks that's preach the same message as a group of black folks that say, oh, well, you guys are mad about this officer killing Mike Brown, but y'all didn't say shit about the murders, black on black murders in your own town. Right.
Agreed.
This is categorically false. All right. And what I mean by false is not only is it false factually, because there are rallies, vigils, programs, gatherings all the time to stop the violence, to stop black on black crime all across America, damn near every week. Okay, so that's factually false. It's intellectually dishonest. And what I mean by that is the spectacle of black on black crime is its own discussion. It is not pertinent to this discussion, because black on black crime is black on black crime in and of itself. There's a such thing as white on white crime, Asian on Asian crime, Mexican on Mexican crime, and I could go into some more crude words, characterization. the reason why that is a false discussion to bring up in this context is because black on black crime is not necessarily a function of black people hating and killing other black people. It is necessarily a function of proximity, just as the other crime rates when we're talking about what race as on what race, and the numbers bear this out. They bring up the percentages. Well, X amount of percent of black on black crime, black crime is perpetuated by another black person. It's the same thing in white community.
Yeah.
Same thing in Asian community. It's about proximity. The real discussion behind that is the overwhelming segregation that this country still lives under, and how we live separated from one another. If you would like to have that discussion, do not bring that chicken shit into this discussion, because this is not about racial interaction in terms of proximity. This is an interaction between power and the those who lack power.
So let's step into the mindset of somebody who thinks that way.
That is a go ahead. I'm sorry, bro.
So you have this incident that occurs. You have the response by African American people, but you are also equipped as an American with the more than common depiction. We're talking about on a nightly basis that incidents involving violence in African Americans happen so often, especially in urban centers.
Absolutely. That
this incident, and I'm speaking from the mindset of a person that I think is saying those kind of things. And mind you, we're not, and that's why I said mainstream America, because I'm not just talking about white people.
No. We're talking about everybody.
So you have this mindset stepping in like, okay, this incident happens. Where was the outrage when all of these, when there were all of these other incidents? What you're saying is that the outrage is there.
It's been there.
It's not covered. It's not discussed. There's no police presence. There's no police presence on either side of it.
We also know that's also false, because we know that it has been there. Is it there consistently? No. But keep in mind, we just went through a summer where mainstream America had to have a long-reaching discussion about whether the National Guard needed to be called in Chicago.
Okay.
We just had that discussion.
Was that this year?
This year and last year. You see what I'm saying? We just had that discussion. So to say, where was the outrage? Duh, you just got done talking about it. It is it's selective hearing, selective memory, and the worst thing to me, well, two things that piss me off the most: willful ignorance.
Okay.
And feigning concern. That I don't deal with well. Willful ignorance. So I start discussions like that when they say, well, what happened? Why was there no outrage when there's black on black crime? Well, you already know that there was outrage. Everybody does. So either you know that there was outrage and you're choosing to ignore it to make your point, which makes that an evil pursuit, or you are ignorant of the fact that there was outrage, which means you're not equipped to have the discussion. There's only those two choices at this point.
So let's talk about what fueled this. Black people have been getting killed by the cops forever.
We've never had a healthy relationship with police.
That's a good way to put it.
Never.
Healthy no. So my belief is the video that showed this boy laying in the street was what the incident itself was one thing, but the manner in which it was treated it was treated in such an inhumane way. I think that was a key contributor to the level of angst that the people in Ferguson as well as the country had.
Absolutely.
And it has to affect you.
It's outrage.
So again, we're faced with a situation where the proliferation of social media and technology has giving everybody the opportunity to have an opinion about something.
Absolutely.
So my concern moving forward, though, is this going to frame relationships between, and I'm not even saying black people, relationships between police and young people.
Okay.
For a while.
Okay.
Because we've seen the police being videotaped doing a number of things recently. And it's involved Latino people. Sometimes it's involved white people, so on and so forth.
Absolutely.
So I think that, and I'm trying to look towards what's going to happen. I mean, what's going to happen in the future. And I think that the police are going to be widely scrutinized regularly at this point. The outcomes of that scrutiny, however, may not change.
And that's my point. And that's why I keep bringing up the difference between willful ignorance, feigning concern, or just being ignorant to the fact. Because at some point in this country, and that goes for everybody, we have got to be able to look at a piece of information, a piece of video footage, a picture, a testimony, or something like that, a testimony, an affidavit or something, and just agree. Until we can do that, we have to separate the groups. And I believe that the categories fall into willful ignorance, which is what we find in a lot of our conservative media sources, feigning concern, which we find in a lot of our more progressive liberal sources, and just completely ignorant, which we find in urban America, black America, white America, people who just don't even know, but they're responding to it emotionally, and all three of them screw the conversation 6 ways to Sunset.
Right. There's been so much spinning. I mean, American history is based on spinning information.
Right, period.
But recently, it's become so evident that spinning is the order of the day, especially among conservative Americans.
Absolutely.
Especially, I mean, when you have an entire segment of the majority race in this country that believe that conservatives represent their interests, yet most of the conservative party make their money from victimizing them just as much as they victimize minorities.
And you can show it to them.
Yes, and they won't believe it.
You can 3D print it.
They won't believe it.
And they won't believe it because it's not. It's religion, bro.
It is.
It's religion.
They won't believe
it's a religious practice, and they sell it as religion. They sell it as religion.
My thing is, when this was all going down, and how can you spin this?
That's my point.
How can you spin this? How can we be sitting up here and talk about a police officer who shot this young man, who has hundreds of thousands of dollars that are waiting on him? This gentleman, I mean, mind you, if this gentleman is not if this cop is not prosecuted and things go awry, we don't know what the black community's response is going to be.
No.
I mean, we can speculate that it might be very little,
or it could be something we've never seen,
or it could be,
I don't know,
and we both might participate. But at the end of the day, if he gets away from this, he may never have to work again.
True. And that's the problem that I see. Again, we see these people that are taken to social media and they're expressing their viewpoint, which they have the right to do. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, at what point does a piece of video footage become debatable?
Never. Unless,
can't we just say what we see?
Like, look at Paul George. Okay.
Right.
Paul George going to the basket, had an ugly accident, broke his leg.
Right.
Immediately, blame was placed where?
On the basket.
On the basket.
Yeah.
The people who run the Thomas Mack Center.
The stanchion.
So
they
it's
didn't have it in the right place.
So, and that's the problem. Or it being, you're an athlete and a freakish accident happened, and this is what happened.
Yeah, big deal. Or
that's, and let me say this. I think that this highlights what is wrong in our educational system. It highlights what is wrong involving the raising of our children. It highlights the issue that I have with the degree of litigation that's going on in our country.
Oh yeah, everything's a court case
because everything is blame.
Yeah, everything's a court case.
Everything is blame.
Yeah,
everything is. It's always somebody else's
that's a
fault.
good point. That's a good point, right? I didn't think about that. That's a good point.
I mean, when you look at a kid, and if a kid comes to school when they want to, doesn't do well, things of that nature, there is a high probability that there will be a conversation with a parent that will say, "What else could you have done in order to make this child be successful?" When I see people go completely out of their way to help every child that they do, and they're bad teachers just like they're bad cops, and so on and so forth. But there's always somebody to blame. In this situation, the police officer used his weapon in a way that was very reckless and very wrong. But it's being spun in a way that makes people feel comfortable.
Right.
Like if my child has a problem reading and they're a 6th grader, it's the teacher's fault.
Right.
Or they need special help or something like that, as opposed to saying, I didn't do what I may have needed to do to get him to the point where he needed to be. I mean, you take the very graphic video that's been making more of the rounds lately about Mr. Powell, the shooting. Okay. I don't know if you got a chance to watch that. You know what? I never actually saw that.
That's something that everybody needs to watch. This is a very, very, very telling piece of video here. Whoever the gentleman was that recorded this is brave, by the way, because I think, man, 20 years ago, if you recorded something like that, that man probably had his ass whooped and locked up. But thank God for the age of information where he can actually spread this video and and still be the voice behind the camera. Well, the gentleman obviously, hey, look, man, I don't know if dude was had some malady mentally, if he's some emotional deficiency, or if he was just fed up that day. He just flipped out and decided, today was a wrap. Regardless, he decides to take 2 sodas from the store. Of course, the police are called. When the police show up, he walks towards them. He tells them to shoot, kill me now. And then he walks up onto a raised planter, like grass or brick.
I saw that part.
And now I heard that the man might have had a knife. Okay, I didn't see a knife in the video. That's just me saying that. That's right. Quentin Barrett saying I didn't see a knife in the video. It has nothing to do with the truth. That's me saying that. But I did not see him go for any weapon. But he did get in proximity of the officer, where the officer should have used some sort of force to subdue the perpetrator, because he had just stolen, and he was approaching the cop. The cop had a reason to feel threatened at that point. Sure. I'm not denying. See, once again, it's a piece of video. Right. I can say that a police officer should have felt threatened. It's a man just about his size, just about his weight. Who knows what could happen? I'm not trying to get in no fist fight. Right? Right. Taser. See? Taser. Nope. This cop put 9 in him. 9 shots, and then ended him on the floor. Ended him.
I didn't see that.
And it's on camera.
Are you for real?
He ends him. He puts 9 shots in this kid. Now look, once again, this is about the video. I'm not saying that the officer should not have felt threatened. Right. I'm not saying that the officer should not have used some degree of force to subdue Mr. Powell. What I'm wondering is 9 shots to his death. And not one shot, right? One shot in the leg is over with. Yeah. One shot in the shoulder is over with.
You gonna lay down.
He put 9 in him. He made sure he was gone. And it's on camera. That is the problem that I'm having. Can we come to an agreement as a country to look at this piece of video and just discuss it as honestly and above board as I just did? I don't think we have that ability.
How is it being spun?
We're not talking about it yet, because we're talking about Mike Brown. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't be, right? But we're not talking about it yet.
How is it going to be spun?
Well, he doesn't know what that guy's going to do.
He didn't know what he was going to do.
He had a knife.
You have the ultimate level of force in your hands as a police officer.
What do you expect them to do? These are police officers. These are guys that put their lives on the line every day. They're used to dealing with this stuff every day. What do you think he's going to do? He doesn't know if that guy's going to kill him or not.
Meanwhile, 85% of police officers have never used their weapon. 85 to 90, I would assume.
He's 6 feet away.
Right.
And raised, he's 6 feet away. I mean, I'm just saying, it's not like the guy was in a full bum rush on a vehicle. And there was another officer present, excuse me. It's these sorts of situations why we can't have these discussions honestly is what I believe. And that's the part that bothers me the most.
And I think that when we talk about what's going on overseas involving ISIS and all that stuff, it's much easier for us to use our assumptions to figure things out because it's not in front of us.
Right.
And we have to believe whatever is being told to us.
Right.
So, see, there we go. We didn't plan on. We didn't know what else to talk about.
We still got into it because it's so top of mind.
It's so heavy.
Yeah.
It's so
much left to be done. So much left to talk about. But it's like, man,
it's heavy.
It's so heavy. I can't shake it day to day.
It's tough.
Yeah, it is.
So, let's switch gears.
Let's try it.
Let's try to switch gears. The NFL season is upon us. And Quentin and I are going to play a little game. We are going to do over-under with each other. That didn't sound right. We're going to, you understand what I'm saying.
Yikes.
I'm going to give you an over-under. You respond to it, and then you give me one. We'll go through a couple of them.
All right. You go first.
I have to start with the Lions.
Well, there's a few over-unders.
Wins.
Okay, start with wins.
Over or under 8?
Over.
Wow.
Over.
Why?
9-7.
Whoa, 1. Okay.
Over 9-7. They just missed the playoffs in typical Lions fashion.
Who has a breakout year for you, in your opinion, for the Lions?
This is Reggie Bush's year.
Yeah, it has to be.
This is Reggie Bush's year for the Lions. Injury guy. All these weapons around, they're forgetting that Reggie Bush can be. Let's do that. Let's step back. Can be the equivalent of the 5-tool man in the baseball field.
Okay.
There's really not.
I wouldn't say that.
Well, shit.
Because he can't run between. He can't run between the tackles like he's like. I would hope that a 5-tool guy could.
He can. He hasn't been able to.
Right. Okay.
He can. I think he can. And here's the thing, though. There won't be too much running between the tackles except for on the goal line for this team. We're going to spread 3 wide. They're going to spread 3 wide from the 20. So, they should be able to run off tackle efficiently. Matt Stafford is not going to have to do very much play action because there's going to be activity in the secondary. He has a pass-catching tight end. He has a guy that doesn't drop very many balls in the slot, and he's got the big man outside who can run blocking on the stretch.
Okay.
They're going to be able to run off tackle. They're not going to have to do very much formation switching.
Right.
Okay, it's going to look like old Dallas.
Okay.
To where you don't see a lot of formation switching. We just line up 3 and see if you can stop us. And I think that the Lions offense, if they gain steam early, they'll be able to just go out there and challenge defenses, which they haven't been able to do team offense wide for a very long time.
Those first few games will be very important for them to gain confidence. But conventional knowledge says that the last few years the Lions have gotten off to good starts, but they just haven't finished.
Oh, we remember the 6-2 year.
Oh yeah. The streets were on fire in Detroit.
Burn it down. Start planning the parade.
Okay.
All right, I got one for you.
Right,
I got one for you.
I'll do my best.
Passing yards for Russell Wilson. Over or under 3,000.
Over. I think he'll do maybe 36, 37. I don't know whether he'll cross 4,000. 3,600, 3,500 maybe.
Now he just lost his guy.
Who? Percy? Percy's hurt again?
I think,
dude.
Again, who's he going to throw to?
That's a good question. I mean, any quarterback that's worth their medal is going to be able to move the ball. We're talking about NFL level talent. I do worry about Cam Newton a lot.
Okay.
Cam Newton's best receiver is a Raven. Is a rookie. Well, he's a Raven. But throwing the ball to like Taekwon Underwood or something like that. I'm looking at their wideouts right now, and no, there's nobody of note. I mean, Doug Baldwin, he's caught a few passes over the past few years. He hasn't really had too much of a impact on fantasy. Zach Miller has done okay.
Yeah, Russell Wilson got the game manager tag last year.
Yeah, but I think that's
like the Trent Dilfer tag.
This is what happens. Somebody will step up.
Okay.
Somebody will step up. I mean, if he gets a couple guys who can catch 70, 60 balls, he can get over 3,500.
Okay.
I mean, 3,500 these days in these offenses is, I don't want to say par for the course. Actually, it may be less than par for the course. He'll throw for more yards than. Well, look, wait a minute.
You see what I'm saying? Think about where I'm at. Think about where I'm at here.
Right. And you also don't have the benefit of having a back that has a great reputation.
People think there are people I talk to that think Russell Wilson dominated the Super Bowl.
He doesn't dominate anything, really.
Right. And so I'm wondering if Seattle takes a huge step back this year.
I don't know. Right. Last year he threw for 3,300.
Yeah.
And that was with Golden Tate and Doug Baldwin.
I'm just saying.
And Zach Miller. So could he
what's the shelf life on running backs again?
The shelf life on running backs?
Yeah.
Short. I don't necessarily see Marshawn Lynch running. I mean, he had 10 100-yard games last year. I don't necessarily know if he'll get that again, especially if they don't have a quality passing game. But him getting 35, I can see him getting 35. Okay.
You see why I asked, though?
I do see. Number in dollars, let's say dollar amount, in fines for Ndamukong Suh this year. Over or under $50,000.
Under. He's not doing it this year. He did it the other night, but
was that illegal though?
For him it was. That's
crazy.
It is, but for him, he's not going to get those fines this year. No.
Do you think that Caldwell will have an influence?
And that's why. I think.
What was that conversation between Caldwell and Suh after he got flagged? I wonder.
I don't know if it was. I don't know what that conversation was like, but when we talk about changing the culture, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I'm going to try to give Caldwell some respect here. Okay. He's learned from the best in terms of establishing a personality on the team. This is his chance to really, really do it. Even though he has some opportunities in Indy, but this is another chance for him to actually set his own mold, and he's got to start with Suh. He's going to start with Suh. If he can control Suh, he's got the entire city of Detroit. That's where I believe.
Suh can get more than 3.5 sacks.
Well, they were doubling me.
Yeah.
I don't go for that.
What is he supposed to make this year? 20. Like a $21 million.
Don't get me started on the contract negotiation with that cat, man. He shouldn't even be a Lion right now. Shouldn't even be a Lion right now.
I wouldn't
by the
pay
way.
something.
Nowhere near. But
are you gonna pay that much to a D tackle?
He has a chokehold on the organization, and they let him do it. That's all I'm gonna say about that.
Because he's giving them some level of notoriety.
That's all I'm gonna say about it.
His name will be on sports.
Right. Let's go to that. Okay. All right. The next one. Let's see here.
Make it good.
Number of games started for RG3. Over or under 10?
Over.
You think he makes the whole season?
10 isn't the whole season.
I know. But it ain't far from it.
So that begs a different question. Is if RG3 does not do well this year, the Dan Snyder may begin to consider throwing in the hat on him. I think he starts more than 10 games. I think that,
I think he's injured.
My hope is that, you know what, I actually caught a little bit of a preseason game the other day, and here he is, sprinting out, going along the sideline, not running out of bounds, and got popped.
Somebody's going to, that's why I said this. I watched the same game, and somebody's going to hurt that young man.
Somebody's going to try to, I think he's going to play more than 10 games. I think that, I think that he'll start all 16 games. But
let's remember something. Has Michael Vick ever finished the NFL season?
I don't think so.
Never.
I don't think so.
And that's what. And there's.
So where does with this? So where does the line? Where when you look at a Russell Wilson, who has the ability to sprint out, but is a little bit more wise. Steve Young, a little bit more wise. It would seem as though the people in RG3's ear would be making the attempt to make him a more complete pocket passer that has the ability to, like an Aaron Rodgers. Yeah. Like Aaron Rodgers can scatter away.
Or what they tried to do with Donovan McNabb.
Yeah. Right. Does he starts more than 10 games. I'll say that.
Okay.
Will he get mailed and maybe have to sit down for a half? Yeah. Unless he changes his pattern.
What's the last scrambling quarterback that won a Super Bowl?
Ooh, Steve Young?
You said it. Steve Young. And why did he win that Super Bowl?
Because he was a better pocket passer.
And he was laser accurate.
Yeah. Lefty.
Right.
Cold.
Right. But why is the prototype of the NFL quarterback these years, Colin Kaepernick, RG3, these guys?
Because the read option came around.
Okay.
I mean, it was before the read option, let's say that. But when the read option came around and, people started to see a little bit of success in terms of having these athletic quarterbacks, then the game changed. And the game shifts. The game shifts every few years.
Cam Newton's the prototype.
For sure. I said it before.
For Cam this Newton's NFL.
Like a creative player.
Right. But then Russell Wilson went out and won a Super Bowl.
But Russell Wilson also had the best defense in the NFL.
True.
And the thing about football, to me, football is one of the most, well, if not the most, team-oriented of the large sports. Because basketball, you can get to the finals on the back of one player.
Oh, yeah.
Baseball, if you have two dominant starting pitchers, you can win a series.
Yeah.
What's the other one?
Hockey.
Well, not
Hockey's team-oriented.
Hockey is a little bit team-oriented.
Hockey's team-oriented.
Football, though, is one where
everybody gotta be on
you
the
have
job.
to be extremely, extremely fantastic on one side of the ball in order to be able to move up into the top echelon, or you have to be above average on offense and defense.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So in this situation, I mean, if Russell Wilson was playing for the Lions last year, how many games did they win?
I don't know.
Over or under?
I don't know. I think about the same, really.
Yeah.
I think about the same.
He would have been running for his life a little bit more.
Absolutely.
Though. Because a lot of credit wasn't given to Seattle's line either last year.
Yeah, but I mean, when you got the beast back there, bro, that makes life a lot easier.
Right. My turn?
Yes.
Let's do a couple more. And I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna put it out there because every year in the NFL, there's these sideline storylines that adds to, the thing about the NFL that I like is the fact that we have to wait an entire week for the story to really truly develop. And then there's a lot of speculation and a lot of theories.
Then, boom, on Sunday.
Right. And then Sunday you're like all tuned in because
it's not like 3 games a week, right?
Oh my God, Over under of games played before Johnny Manziel starts. Over or under 5?
Whoa. Over. Listen, let's get something straight here, dude. Let's get something straight. All right. There's one game that defines Johnny Manziel's career. It's the win over Alabama.
Okay.
All right. There's been some exciting moments since then. All right. There's been some exciting moments.
I don't disagree.
All right.
And let me preface
Johnny Manziel.
Let me preface
Come on,
this.
man.
Do I think Johnny Manziel is ready to start an NFL game? No. I think that there's a lot of...
go ahead.
He has certain physical gifts, but I think that we've seen these physical gifts several times.
Hundreds of times.
Exactly. However, under what duress will Browns management be if they go 1-4 in 5 games? Under what duress will they be in to start him?
None. Because it's Cleveland.
Shh.
None. Because it's Cleveland. And I'm going to tell you why.
You telling me that the Cavs gonna be okay? The Cavs gonna be balling.
Okay,
the Cavs gonna be balling.
So what? Listen, man. Cleveland Browns football.
Manziel is gonna be mentioned on SportsCenter every day.
Browns
for something.
Browns. Do not confuse Tebow in Denver with Manziel in Cleveland.
Tell me what the difference is.
The fan base. The fan base.
Which fan base do you feel is more rabid?
Cleveland.
More rabid than Denver's for Tebow. So therefore,
are you kidding me?
The chance of him starting would seem to be higher.
No, Cleveland is more rabid about the Browns. They're not. They don't. I mean, I'm not saying they. I'm not saying they don't care about Manziel, but they're not about to be pressuring their organization to start Manziel, bro.
I don't think so. I disagree.
I'm gonna tell you what. Cleveland is not Hollywood. They don't care about that money. That money. They're not about to be supporting that team.
The owner of that team.
You know why they love LeBron, bro?
Their eyes.
You know why they love LeBron? LeBron has both. He's humble and yet a star. And the best.
Okay.
Manziel is not a starter, not humble, and you know what I mean? But trying to be a star. The fans of Cleveland is not going to go hard for him like that.
Okay.
Nah, man.
I want to see it. I mean, I think that if I asked this question a couple of weeks ago before, he had a really bad performance.
Yeah, he did.
You know, before then,
I still would have said the same thing.
Okay.
Well, you know what? I wouldn't have said the same thing because Hoyer just got it announced as a starter. I really thought they was going to try to start Manziel. So, yeah, I would have had to change my tune. Absolutely. But with them announcing Hoyer as a starter, who really didn't necessarily knock their socks off, for him to say he's better, there's something going on in those practice sessions that we're not seeing.
Okay.
We need a couple reps, maybe like a week straight of Cleveland Sports Talk Radio to really see what the callers are saying.
But you already know. You already know.
They're not campaigning for Manziel like that, bro.
Well, maybe not.
All right.
We'll see.
All right. Let me do one more. All right.
You do one more, and that'll be it.
And this is not an over under.
Okay.
This is going to be a yes or no.
Gut feeling.
This is a yes or no.
Right. Okay.
Or a pick 'em. More probable for the year 2016. 2015-16, right? A team in London or the NFL contracts two teams?
A team in London.
Shit.
A team in London. The NFL is making too much money. Too much money. Too much. And when you look at the teams that have been bad, been terrible for years, I don't know. I would like to see the Jaguars' attendance because they've sucked for a while.
They're messing up the curve at this point.
We saw it happen with NFL Europe. There is this just innate desire within NFL leadership to expand this game to a global scale, when the game itself is inherently American.
But logistically, how would they make that happen?
I have no clue.
You can't force teams to do that.
How long is that flight? 12 hours?
Yeah, and then what are they going to do? Rotate it by year? And so it could be like 3 years before I have to go to London.
Yeah. What division
do they play in?
Yeah, right.
And you're going to have one team?
But I don't think they're going to contract either.
I think contraction's on deck.
I really don't think so. I don't know.
The NFL and the NBA are talking contraction.
I haven't been keeping up with the conversation, but I do feel as though we talked about before the fact that football is kind of the animal that is beyond reproach that lives in your house.
Yeah.
Like the animal that can eat your couch, the animal that can take a piss in the corner or whatever, and you just like
that's what it does.
That's just Fido. You know what I'm saying? They're beyond reproach. I do have one more though.
Go ahead.
Amount of NFL players this year that catch misdemeanors during the season. Over or under 6.
way over.
I mean, you already got 2.
Yeah, right. We got 2 now.
We already got 2.
So no, we way over that, bro. They're not going to because they don't have to.
Le'Veon Bell and who else?
They're not.
Who was the other guy?
LeGarrette Blount.
Ironically enough.
Yeah, they're not going to because they don't have to, because there's no penalty for it.
Right.
There's no penalty. Right. There's no real penalty in real life. Not like me or you. So why would I stay away from those evils and ills when I'm just going to lace them up and make $300,000 on Sunday?
Period. So
whatever.
Real quick, who wins the Super Bowl?
Don't do that. You don't want me to do that.
Why not?
Because I'm going to say the same name every time.
I say the same 2 teams in the Super Bowl every year. You know?
Yeah, I know that. You say the Bills and the Lions.
I say the Bills and the Lions.
Yeah, but okay, and that's because of fandom. But I'm all right. Yeah, well,
realistically,
the Patriots are going to win the Super Bowl this year.
Oh shit. Next week on the Pick and Roll podcast, an hour with Quentin Barrett,
episode
and
10
Patriots
on
stannery.
Why the Patriots are the best team.
You know, one thing we need to do, we probably need to just kind of secure like Friday, do every Friday and just completely talk NFL and let you
then see what happens Sunday.
Stand Tom Brady.
No,
and
no, man, no.
Just stand Tom, because we can't keep talking about Ferguson forever.
No, we can't do this.
So
the Patriots look really good. I'm thinking probably right around 11-12 wins.
You saw Shane Vereen break it the other day.
Yeah, look, they look really good on defense, and I'm thinking about 11-12 wins. We're going to take a couple of disappointing losses, about 12 wins.
If they win 12 games, Tom Brady either needs to win the MVP or he'll be top 2.
Yeah, it'll be another. I mean, it's going to be the same years he's been having, and they'll probably get to the AFC Championship game, and I don't know who'll be waiting there.
They still have Kimbrel Tompkins.
No, but they got the guy, the baby boy tailback from Wisconsin, which I'm excited about seeing in live action, and it's going to be an interesting year.
Okay,
I just put it like that.
I'll give you that. So
I'm not guaranteeing. I'm really not in real life guaranteeing a Super Bowl by the Patriots. By the way, I'm not that kind of a homer.
So I tell you what we'll do is we'll end things here.
That's what's up.
Again, you can follow us at PAR Podcast. You can email us at pickandrollpodcast@gmail.com. Next week, we're going to talk about kind of have a state of hip-hop conversation in terms of 2014. So we'll be putting some things on Twitter or whatever, and we're really looking for some responses from you guys. Shout outs to those of you who have been emailing us and giving us your feelings about the show and things of that nature, because it's really been helpful. So yeah, we'll have a conversation kind of like a coming to... I hate to use that term, coming to Jesus, but kind of like an opportunity for us to take a look at the year. I mean, we're about to move into the fourth quarter.
Yeah, we can break it down line item analysis.
Yeah, needless to say, the hip hop there's been more involving what's been happening off the record button than actually what's been happening in the earphone, so to speak. So,
and maybe by next week, Floyd Mayweather will release something that he reads officially.
As long as he doesn't read it. That was so bad. And can I just say this? 50 knew. He knew. There's no way you just take a random shot in the dark.
Inside information.
Knowing 50, he probably experienced it firsthand and said, if this dude ever does anything wrong to me, that's the card I'm pulling.
I know exactly where I'm going.
And he went straight for the money. Because when I first saw 50's Ice Challenge, I was like, why would he say that? Like, where does that come from or whatever? And then Charlemagne.
Look it.
That was so bad.
I don't care what you say.
Look it up. Google it. Whatever.
Yeah, my last words on that. I don't care what nobody say. That's funny.
It is.
That's funny. It's nothing you can do to make that not funny. I don't care, because it's Floyd.
And see, this is that sensitivity again. There's a level of sensitivity where people spin things and say, "Oh, you shouldn't laugh at people like that."
Whatever.
I mean, what effect is it gonna have on kids in the classroom that struggle with their reading and stuff like that? Whatever. I laughed.
Let me tell you something. when good amount of people in this country, we all got together and decided that we hated George Bush. You know, one of our favorite things to laugh at was the fact that he couldn't conduct speeches.
Right.
Like, is he stupid or something? Well, hey, guess what, Floyd? You're up.
Take that. Literally. And he doesn't have anything. I mean, you know, people had their feelings about him. He's the richest athlete in the United States, or no, one of the richest athletes in the world now.
Yeah. Well, you can come talking that money if you want to, but I don't care.
You can't.
I'm not going to teach my children that money trumps literacy.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. So, yeah, that is the Pick and Roll podcast for this. That little caveat was pretty cool, but this is the Pick and Roll podcast, and we will see you next week.
Pick and roll.